And I will speak about that in a moment and introduce our speaker. But first, I wanted to make clear to you that this is only the first of many events involved in this program. You're all reading this book together in your composition classes, and it's proving to be interesting in terms of the issues that it raises. But before I get into today's particular part of that program, I want to remind you of the other events that are part of this program that will be available to you. And as you know, you're all here today to hear the keynote address. You're all doing an assignment based on it, but it'll still be fascinating, I'm sure, and very moving in its own way. And the other things you can pick from will have their own power to entice you, make you think about this particular situation in an intriguing fashion. In addition to today's event, on October 9th at 7 p.m., that's a Wednesday, we're having an open mic poetry slam at the McMahon Student Center, and that is, if you're a poet, a storyteller, a singer, a musician, you can come and express yourself on issues about personal choices you've made, challenges you face. We ask that it actually is something from the heart that you come and share, and that will be presented. It's actually something for you to participate in, faculty and students together. The next event to pick from would be the NJ Sharing Network Facility Tour, and that is Saturday, October 12th at 10 a.m. until noon, and you do have to sign up for a seat on the bus that will take you there. So the information is on this lovely flyer that you were given, so it's very comprehensive. I just want to run through the things. Now, in today's discussion, presentation, if you'll settle down and let me speak, you may have a lot of questions. We might have time for a few at the very end before you leave for your 1 o'clock class, but if there isn't enough time, or if there's only a limited time, do not despair, because on October 16th, a Wednesday also, from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m., there'll be a panel discussion about all the ethical, religious, legal issues these concepts may raise, and just to talk about the power of the story. So that will be on October 16th, and we're hoping for a nice turnout for that, because that will be fascinating. There'll be experts in the field talking at that point, and also people on campus who have been personally involved in this, so I think you'll find it very interesting. Then we have our film festival, which is actually 2 different films. Monday, November 4th, we have The Fifth Quarter, which is about Luke Abate, who was killed in a car crash, and his brother carries his number because his brother was actually an organ donor, so it's kind of an interesting film. That's a choice. And then we have the film version of My Sister's Keeper on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 p.m. All right, and that actually is the movie version of the book. And as I said before, you can't just watch the movie, folks. It ends differently than the book. You need to do them both. Okay. All right, and then finally, it will end with the Common Reading Program Essay Contest and Symposium on November 20th, at which you will get more information at a later date. But after this semester, basically the program continues, because in the spring we will have a dance-a-thon to raise money for NJ Sharing Network, and we can have actually a sort of a freshman contest to pick the theme for that dance, but that will happen in the spring, a dance-a-thon. So we do have that. So the things I've just mentioned are all on the flyer you were given, so you can get more information after that. But I think that it is now time to get completely started with our program here, and I'm sure you've started working with the book in class already, but let's settle in for today's really fascinating presentation. My Sister's Keeper is a work of fiction, but the multifaceted issues it raises are found in everyday life. These things are happening every day to everyday people, giving rise to the adage that truth is stranger than fiction. But today's event will disprove that adage. Truth is not stranger than fiction. Rather, it is more powerful and more inspiring indeed than fiction. Our keynote speaker, Ms. Alyssa Dadio, Ms. Manager of Resource Development for New Jersey Sharing Network, NJ Sharing Network, and has had personal experience of these compelling issues. She's here today to share her story and bring the subtext of our common reading experience to light in a unique way. Please welcome Ms. Alyssa Dadio.
Hello, everyone. Not too long ago, I was sitting in the seats that you were sitting in. I graduated college in 2011 in Pennsylvania, so no texting. I know the tricks of the trade here. So I'm here to talk to you about organ and tissue donation. It's something that is affecting everyone. How many of you know someone that's been affected by organ and tissue donation? A recipient, a donor? I know someone. So look around. This is something that has affected people in your community. It's not something that can affect you. So why is this important? You guys may recognize this stadium, do you? The Big House in Michigan? This holds about 115,000 people. The reality of people waiting for an organ transplant in the United States is actually over the capacity of this stadium. 120,000 people are waiting for a solid organ transplant. So if you look at this stadium, all these people are waiting. And they're waiting for someone to say yes to organ and tissue donation, and that's why I'm here today, to give you some education about it. So who is the New Jersey Sharing Network? New Jersey Sharing Network is New Jersey's organ procurement organization. Now, what does that mean? We are responsible for the recovery and placement of organ and tissue in New Jersey. We specifically cover 14 counties. We have partnerships with over 56 hospitals and 6 transplant centers. So when there is a death at a hospital and there is a chance for organ and tissue donation, we are invited into the hospital to try to carry out, make that happen. So the New Jersey Sharing Network operates a lot like a hospital, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We have many nurses on staff. We do recovery and then the placement of organ and tissue. So there are 5,000 out of that 120,000 people waiting that are New Jersey residents. And I just wanted to show this picture. This woman right here is waiting for a kidney transplant. She comes into our offices often. She's in dialysis often. 5 days a week she's on dialysis. She really needs a kidney. And she volunteers to hopefully spread the word about organ and tissue donation. These people are our friends, these people are our families, these people are in our community. These are people, there are probably people around you that you don't know are waiting that are on dialysis. In New Jersey, about 80% of that list are waiting for kidney transplants. And thanks to dialysis, they can stay alive. But the wait for a kidney is 5 to 7 years. And when I started, it was about 4 years. And that was about 3 years ago. So as you can see, this is really a problem that's continuing to grow. And the point is to get out there and educate the community so hopefully we can see this number go down with saving lives through organ and tissue donation. So what organs can be donated? You have 2 kidneys, you have a liver, heart, 2 lungs, pancreas, and bowel. These are all New Jersey residents that have been saved through the gift of life. We have Jim Radican on your left, the far left. He is a retired principal. He now goes to colleges and high schools spreading the word because he is so thankful for his liver transplant. He says, because I got this transplant, I get to spend Tuesdays with my granddaughter. We have Donut Tuesdays, and I bring her a pink donut. Without that transplant, he would have never gotten to meet his granddaughter. So all these people have stories. We have Denise over here, who's a double lung recipient. She was told she had weeks to live, and then she got the gift from a donor of 2 lungs, and now she calls herself that she's breathing easy. She walked in our 5K, and she's really thankful for this gift of life that she's been given. So we always hear about organ donation. We always hear about kidney donation. We always hear about heart transplants. But what about tissue? Tissue isn't something that we hear often. And I'm sure that some of you are tissue recipients in this room and don't even know. How many of you have had ACL surgery from a torn ACL? Tissue can be used for that. Herniated discs. If you know anyone that's had double mastectomy surgery, skin is used for that. So tissue donation is something that really improves quality of everyday life for people. For an ACL, those people can run again. They can play sports again. For burn victims, they can have their skin repaired. So we see Jackie in the pink dress. She is actually my boss. And her mom at the age of 68 was in a car accident. And she was able to donate both of her kidneys, her liver, and she was able to enhance the lives of over 43 people through tissue donation. Then you have someone that's really special to me right here. This is my dad. When I was in college, like all of you, my dad suffered a brain hemorrhage. This was actually 2 days before the brain hemorrhage happened. So as you could see, a healthy-looking guy. He worked out every day, and he had a brain hemorrhage. It's not something that you know is going to happen. And we never had the conversation about organ donation. So the Sharing Network presented us with organ donation, this opportunity, and we didn't know what he wanted. And that's why I wanted to work at the Sharing Network, hopefully to educate all of you and educate the community so you can go home and have this conversation before something like this happens. So we said yes for him for organ donation, and he saved the lives of 2 people through kidney donation and over 75 through tissue. We've gotten a few letters from the people that have received his organs and tissue. One of his tissue recipients had ACL reconstruction and said, because of your father, I can go play my D1 baseball. And without that, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you. So it really is everyday things that tissue donation can help. And we don't realize, we just think, oh, the doctor fixed it. But really, there's a person behind that, and there's a family behind that, and there's love behind that helped you, carry on your life in the way that you wanted to. Then we have Susan in the middle. Susan received the gift of sight through a cornea transplant. And everyone says tissue is life-enhancing and restores health. But Susan says, I got to see my family again. That's life-saving. That's an experience I wouldn't have had without my cornea transplant, without the love of that donor. So when we're talking about tissue donation, it is as important as organ donation, and you can affect so many people through tissue donation, up to 75, which is really an amazing thing when, we leave this earth and we want to leave a legacy and we want people to remember us. Well, this is a great way to do it. We're affecting over 75 people through one yes. So this just talks about where the organ and tissue can be helped for. We have heart valves. A lot of heart valves are used for infants that have heart valves that are defective at birth. We have the heart. 1 in 10 of those who need a new heart are under the age of 18. So if we think that this can't affect us, it can. Eyes and cornea can give the gift of sight. Lungs has an 80% success rate. Liver, about 16,000 people in the United States are waiting for a liver. And kidneys, as you know, makes up most of the waiting list, as I said before. So another connect to purpose. Why is this meaningful for the St. Peter's community? Is this going to ever affect the St. Peter's community? Well, the answer is that it already has. And I just want to show you this clip really fast. Just to give you background, Mary DiNardo lost her husband while he was on the job as a police officer. And he was an organ donor. And in this clip, you're going to see Mary DiNardo meeting her husband's heart recipient. So she is going to get to embrace the man that is now holding her husband's heart. And they are both graduates from St. Peter's University. So this is going to really drive it home that these are 2 people from your community. Let's see.
How long has it been since his death?
4 years, 1 month and 2 weeks.
Mary DiNardo counts the days since her husband passed away. Mark DiNardo was a 37-year-old father of 3. The Jersey City detective was gunned down during this shootout, captured by security cameras as his SWAT team unit moved in to make an arrest.
It was 2 nights before they finally took him to surgery to harvest his organs. And I listened to that heartbeat. So I'm hoping to be able to hear that heartbeat again.
She is about to meet the man who is living because her husband died.
It's a miracle. And I just can't wait to meet him.
The heart now beats in Don Zolkowski's chest.
What is it like having another man's heart in your body?
It's you can't stop thinking about him. I've had dreams consistently about the episode with the shootout.
What kind of dreams?
The noises, and I can almost sense what it must have been like to be in a room with a gun battle going on. That had to be horrific.
The 70-year-old knows what it's like to be in a gun battle. He earned a Purple Heart in Vietnam. A virus destroyed his heart before he received DiNardo's.
he is like a buddy through the service. That it's a bond, it's a friendship that I can't describe how the feeling is, but it's an intense one.
4 years ago, he tried to put his feelings into words in this letter to Mary DiNardo.
I can't explain it, but there is a deep sense of comfort and connection with a donor whom I've never met. Saying thank you in person will lift some of the guilt that I carry as the survivor.
Hi.
They finally met this week.
I wasn't supposed to cry.
The fallen hero's heart is now serving a war hero.
You know, it may be inside somebody else's body, but that was the heart that fell in love with me.
It is a heart that continues to beat for two families, forever connected. Jeff Pegues, CBS News, New Providence, New Jersey.
I probably don't need to say anything else, but that's what I have the honor and privilege to do every day. Give this opportunity to families, and when they say yes, continue to walk with them through this grieving process, and in the best cases, get to, let them know the people that lives have been changed and enhanced because of their gift. Mary has said over and over to me that without organ donation and without tissue donation, I don't know where I would be in this grieving process. This has lended her so much support to her family and her children, with 3 young children. So you can really see how powerful one yes is. One yes to organ donation is 8 lives in their hands and over 75 through tissue. So it's not one person, it's much more than that. And it's a whole family, community that's kind of rooting for this person to survive, praying for this person to survive. So when we talk about New Jersey specifically, we only have 35% registered organ and tissue donors, and that's not good. The national average is between 48 and 50. It goes up and down, but we have a lot of work to do in New Jersey. You all know, when you go from county to county, town to town, you're dealing with different religions, you're dealing with different backgrounds, you're dealing with different beliefs. So this is why it's so important, and we're so thankful for this opportunity to talk to all of you, because it's just a lot of misconceptions. It's a lot of myths that are created from various areas. But we need people to register, because when you register, no one has to make the decision. The decision is yours. It's legally binding. We honor first-person consent in New Jersey. So that means if you're 18 or older and put it on your license, if your mom or dad walks in and says, no, I don't want them to be an organ donor, it was your choice, and we're going to honor that. But on the same token, it's important that you share your wish with your family so we don't have, that problem in the hospital. They know what you want. You wrote on your license what you want, and that's what the Sharing Network is here to do, is here to carry out those wishes. So we have the number 18. There's 2 meanings for this. We have 18 people dying every day waiting for a solid organ transplant. So these people aren't dying from incurable diseases. They're not dying because they have progressive cancer. They're dying because people aren't saying yes enough to organs and tissue donation. We do not have enough organs to go around. And that's why it's so important that when you leave here, if you all can talk to one person, maybe that will take away one person from dying today because they didn't get the organ transplant that they needed. And the other reason for 18 is you have to be 18 years old to register in the state of New Jersey to be an organ and tissue donor on your license. You go to the motor vehicle agency, and once you say yes, it's important to know that every time you renew your license, you need to say yes again. It does not carry over. And this is when you say yes at 18, it's first-person consent, it's legally binding, and no one can take that away from you. So I'm sure that you've heard of a lot of myths and misconceptions about organ donation. I'm sure that you have them yourself. Is the doctor going to take care of me? Is he going to let me die on the side of the road? My religion doesn't believe it. I want an open casket, and I can't have an open casket if I'm an organ donor. There are so many things. And, media, that's why I crossed out Grey's Anatomy. I like the show. I think it's really entertaining. But what they do with organ donation is they make it a fantasy, and they do not, tell the story based on the facts. So the facts are that all major religions do support donation. The fact is that The doctor is not going to let you die on the side of the road because you need to be ventilator dependent in a hospital to be an organ donor. So if you're in a car accident and you think the doctor or the people are there taking care of you are going to let you die, well, you can't be an organ donor at that point. You have to be in a hospital, ventilator dependent. So that whole myth, throw that out the door, because I know that is really something people think about. And it's before I worked at the Sharing Network, I thought about it too. There are a lot of things, and we have to realize that organ donation shows no religion, it shows no financial background, it shows no belief system. As you can see here, we have a donor family, someone that's lost a loved one with that liver recipient who gained that gift. So you can see that this really doesn't matter who you are, it just matters that you need. And it's really the most common form of being helpful and being kind to others, because this is as basic as you get. If I needed, I hope you would give to me. But if you needed, you hope I would give to you. So it's really, it sees no color, it sees no background, it sees no religion. Organ donation sees everyone as the same. And as I said, all major religions support organ donation. We're having that panel, and we're having people from our religious outreach at the Sharing Network come to speak about the different religions and their views on organ and tissue donation, because I know that it's valid and I know that that's a thought for everyone. So I'm going to have those people come to talk a little bit more in depth of the different religions and any questions you may have. But we have Baptist here, we have Catholicism, we have Max's mitzvah movers who did his mitzvah project with the Sharing Network. So the major religions do support donation, and if you come to the panel, we can talk about that a little bit further. So why don't we have enough organs? We have the issue, not enough people are saying yes, but then we have the issue that less than 1% of all deaths are suitable for organ donation. So you have a lot of people dying in hospitals a year, and you have less than 1% of them able to go on and be an organ donor. And there are so many medical things that come into play in that, which also I'll have someone at the panel who's more clinically driven who can answer any of those questions that you may have. But there are so many different circumstances that go into someone being an organ donor that less than 1% are ended up able to give, which means that less than 1% that are able, we need them to say yes. If we have one no in that little, that's 8 people whose lives potentially were not saved. So, as I said before, we are responsible for the recovery. So we recover at the hospital, the organs, and then the placement. So this is what the placement is about. And this takes a lot of figuring out with the Sharing Network, because you have a time frame for all these organs. If there's a perfect match in another state, we have to, make it happen. We have to get the plane. We have to make sure we're in the good time frame. Kidneys, we have a pump, so they can last for a little bit longer. But the faster we can get any of these organs into someone else, the better off we're going to be. So as you can see, there's a lot of coordination that goes into, not only recovering, but placing these organs for transplant. And as you saw with the Mary DiNardo clip, I think that really said it all. The New Jersey Sharing Network is focused on the family. Whatever the family's wishes are, we want to make that happen. We have so many families who now devote their life to organ and tissue donation because they've either received or someone in their family has given, and they just find so much comfort in giving back to this cause, because at some point this cause saved their life. With my dad, I lost him, and there's nothing I can do about that, but in a way, the Sharing Network saved my life. I now am passionate about where I work. I wake up every day thanking God, thanking my dad that I have this work. And I'm lucky because my dad gave me this. And New Jersey Sharing Network cares about the family. Once someone's an organ and tissue donor, we do not throw the family to the side and say, okay, we got what we want, bye. We take care of the family. As you see down here, we have a quilt. All these people on the quilt are donors. We invite all families to make a quilt square, and then we have a memorial program where they pin these quilts and then volunteers sew them in. So you'll hear from a very special lady soon. Her grandson is on that quilt, and you'll hear her story. But we do a lot of things for the families to help them through this grieving process and let them know that they're not alone through this. So what can you do when you leave here? You can register. Now that you have the information, if this is something that you think that you want to do, and it's something that you believe in, there are 3 ways to register. We have paper registries in the front, or you can get them off our website, which is listed next. You can also register online at our website. If you don't want to go to the motor vehicle agency and you don't want to renew your license and go through that whole thing, if you're not up for renewal, you can do it through our website. But please note that it will not show up on your license. If you would like to go to the motor vehicle agency or you're up for a renewal, you can do that at the motor vehicle agency. They will have organ donor on the bottom of your license. It does not cost anything. I get the question a lot, like, is it going to cost me $20 to put that on? It does not cost you anything. It is a gift, and nothing through this whole process should cost you a dime. And that's another thing. Donor families, when they lose someone in the hospital, and they say yes to donation, well, there's a lot of extra testing that has to go on. So does my family have to pay for that testing, or is my insurance going to cover that testing? Once you say yes to organ donation, New Jersey Sharing Network covers all those costs. So extra testing, OR, doctors staying overtime, that New Jersey Sharing Network covers all those costs. So that does not in cost to the donor family. Once you register, or if you decide you don't want to register, whatever your choice is leaving these doors, I just want you to go home and talk to your family or close friends or whoever you wish to talk to about it. Because the worst thing is when you make a decision and your parents or your family or your friends come into the hospital and didn't know that you made that decision. And then we have to try to explain why you made that decision, and we don't know. So if you just go home tonight and just start this open dialogue with whoever you feel comfortable with, at the end of the day, whatever happens, people will know what you wanted, and they won't have to sit and try to guess. I'm sure you're all Facebook users. Recently, we had this cool thing on Facebook. If you go to your timeline and health and wellness, there's going to be an organ donor tab, and you can write that you are a registered organ donor and tell your Facebook friends. This is not a way to register. So we're not going to go look here to see if you're registered on Facebook. It is only through the motor vehicle agency. But this is a cool tool to let people around you know that you've made this designation for yourself. And you can also tell why you've made the designation. So if you heard it here today and you wanted to do it, or someone in your family is a recipient and you wanted to do it. But this is a great way to tell your friends and family, your wishes. We have volunteer opportunities. If you're ever interested in volunteering, we have wonderful things. We have great things in Bayonne, great things in Jersey City, great things in Hoboken. We have amazing things going on in Hudson County. So see Barbara Kuzminski, raise your hand. She's in front. She's a wonderful volunteer for the Sharing Network, and she'll let you know what's going on around town and how you can get involved. We have a 5K, which Barbara's going to talk about a little bit. Team Jonathan, which is Barbara's grandson, you'll be having a dance-a-thon in the spring, and the money from the dance-a-thon is going to go to Barbara's 5K team, which that money goes to educate the public. So really getting the word out and doing different testing to make organ donation possible. So these are how you can help. We have a Facebook page, Twitter, for all you social media people. And then I now want to call Barbara up to talk, and this can be emotional, so I really thank Barbara for coming and being willing to speak. Do you want me to do it? Thank you. I'll stand right here.
Okay. Okay, this is very difficult, but I thank everyone for being here, and it's very, very important that everyone pays attention to what Alyssa said, to the slides about the DiNardo family, who I knew personally. I was in the very same shoes that Mary DiNardo was in. We lost my grandson. All of the pictures to the right are my grandson, Jonathan Paul Kuzminski. He passed away May 13, 2011, and shortly after that, we received a letter from his liver recipient's family. The little boy on the left is Wyatt J. Fleming, and he's alive today, which I'm very proud to say because my son and daughter-in-law said yes to organ donation. he received Jonathan's liver, and he was moved up on the transplant list the day before Jonathan's accident. And he had like pretty much 24, 48 hours, and had my son not said yes, Wyatt would not be here today. And 2 years later, he's in full remission, and we did get to meet him. And I have to say, the same thing that Mary DiNardo said, I felt comfort, I felt a sense of calmness, and my heart just embraced this little boy, and it was so comforting to see that something good came out of our tragedy. And the whole week when Jonathan was in the hospital, NJ Sharing was right there with our family, and they're right. They don't abandon a family. They don't get what they need and just leave us. 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we're still in contact with the very people who approached my family, and we got to put Jonathan's patch. His little brothers helped make the patch of everything that reminded us of him. And it's important. We're able to take these quilts out whenever we want. We can bring them home with us. We can put them on display. They go to hospitals. I get to speak with nurses, with doctors, to tell them the other side of the story, the recipient side of the story, and the donor side of the story. And without NJ Sharing Network, I truly believe they saved my life. And meeting Wyatt definitely saved my life. I don't think I would have been able to survive had I not seen something good come out of the process. Jonathan also saved a 16-year-old girl, received both of his kidneys. We're in the process of writing a letter to their families to see if they want to meet us or to hear about Jonathan. If they say no, we're fine with that. But the message that I want to bring today is, you're all going to suffer tragedies. A tragedy means something different to everybody, something different. Different outcomes, different reasons that they happen, and don't let that take the better part of you. Turn it around, do something positive, try to give back. Whether it's schoolwork, you may think that failing an exam is a tragedy. Turn around, do something better, improve yourself. Give back, do what you're supposed to be doing. NJ Sharing is, if you have to volunteer for a club, a group, NJ Sharing is the perfect opportunity to do that, to give back to the community. Hudson County, when I started volunteering, Hudson County was the last of all of New Jersey on a list for registered donors, and New Jersey ranks 41 out of 50, which isn't good. It's not good for New Jersey residents, it's not good for the United States as a whole. So I tried to do something about it. I formed a group, Donate Life Bayonne. We branched out to Jersey City. Now we're Donate Life Hudson. And we're seeing the results. The community is responding. We moved up by 3 positions. We moved Hudson County up out of last place, which is amazing. It gives that many more people a chance to live. So just take what Alyssa said, what I said, what the DiNardos said, and become educated. Go to the website. It doesn't mean you have to make the decision today or tomorrow, but it's something to think about. And I just thank everybody for listening.
Okay, so here's my contact information. Feel free to write it down if you have any questions, you want to talk about, anything regarding organ donation. I know sometimes in groups you don't feel comfortable asking those questions.